Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and today is another eyeshadow palette collection and declutter video because I feel like I've gotten some new palettes that I wanted to show you, and also I feel like it's time to really dig into them and get rid of a lot of them because I just feel like there are so many in my collection that I don't use anymore or that I don't like anymore. And I'm the kind of person that wants to get rid of the things that she doesn't use because I just don't like having things around me that I don't really enjoy. And I feel like, especially with eyeshadow palettes, I can easily give them away to someone that would use it or that would like it a bit more than me. So that just would get more use out of them. So I feel like it's a perfect thing to give away. And I really want to get better at kind of decluttering my collection more frequently because it really is something that I really enjoy it, and I feel like it makes my collection feel a bit more airy afterwards and more manageable, and I just love doing it. So I hope that you like it too. So if you do enjoy eyeshadow content and also project pens, especially eyeshadow project pens, then please hit the subscribe button because I do a lot of them, and you can check some of my other videos out in the description box. And now let's hop right into the declutter. Now I would say let's start with these mini palettes here. I do have 4 of them. 2 are from e.l.f. and have 4 eyeshadows in them, and then 1 is from Natasha Denona with 5 eyeshadows, and 1 is from Catrice with also 5 eyeshadows. And I really do enjoy these palettes overall, and I definitely want to keep the 2 from e.l.f. This one here is called the Mint to Be, and I have already hit pan in it here. I hope that you can see that. So I'm just trying to show it to you a bit more close up. So this is what it's looking like. I really do like the formula in here. This one is a bit sheer and you have to build it up quite a lot to get it to be seen, or to get it to be opaque. But the other ones I really do like, and I'm definitely gonna keep this one. Then this one here is called the Rose Water one. And I love this palette. This shade is actually in my Pandas eyeshadow series at the moment. I've just started working on it and I really love this palette, especially this eyeshadow here. I do love it a lot. So I'm definitely going to keep it. It's one of my newest ones and I do really enjoy it. Then this one here is my Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. I do absolutely love this palette. This eyeshadow has pan in it. It was in my Pandas eyeshadow series. If you want to check out any of these, I'm going to link them in the description box. And I absolutely love it. It's a very multicolored, glittery topper without actual glitter in it. So I do absolutely love this eyeshadow. And the other ones too. It's a phenomenal palette. I would love her to come out with a bigger version of this one, but only if it actually has these colors in it and this color story, because I think it's a phenomenal and beautiful palette. Definitely going to keep it. Then this one here is from Catrice and it's one of their 5 in a box palettes, and I think it's called the soft rose look. And I really enjoy the quality in here, but I have to say I just don't reach for it anymore, and I feel like I don't have to have it in my collection, so I would love to give it to someone else. I might be departing this eyeshadow though because I absolutely love this one. It's such a beautiful deep chocolatey brown and it's so stunning, so maybe I'm going to depart this one and then give the mattes and this shimmery one to someone else who wants to try it or who wants just some basic rosy mattes in their collection. So yes, I think this is going to be on the departing pile. So there will be one pile for declutters, one for keeps, and one for departing, because I know I'm also going to depart some other palettes. So yes, this one here is going. Then you guys, I finally pulled the trigger and bought the Natasha Denona Gold palette. This has been on my wish list for, I don't know for how long it's out there, but I think for over 2 years. And yes, I just always wanted this palette and now I did get it. I bought it secondhand and it was barely used, and I think I have it for about 3 months now, and I have already used it so much, so this is what it's looking like. It's so beautiful. I do love the quality in here. Especially these two glittery toppers are so beautiful. And also this one here, it's called Brass. It's such an intense gold and it has a bit of a green sheen and it's just stunning. I do really enjoy the quality in here. It's so good and I love that the pens are magnetic and that you can pop them out and in how you want it. And yes, I think the quality is just amazing. So I'm so happy to have it now and it's definitely going to stay in my collection. Then this one here is the Flower Beauty Jungle Lights palette. This is what it's looking like. I feel like this is one of the best eyeshadow formula I've ever tried. It's so good, so amazing. The shades are just beautiful and stunning and yes, the quality is out of this world. I feel like for a drugstore palette, you couldn't do it any better and also for a high-end palette. For the price point, it's incredible. So if you do like these shades, you might want to try it out. It's just so good. So I'm going to keep this one for sure. Then I do have the Essence Out in the Wild Don't Stop Believing palette, and I'm not going to show you the inside because it's in my Pantos eyeshadow series, so I have already pretty good progress in it, so I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm going to keep this one because it's in my project and also because I enjoy it. I don't know if it will stay in my collection for a lot longer, but for now I do want to keep it. Then I do have two palettes from Makeup Revolution. The newest one is this one here. So when this one was released, I think it was a year ago or so, I immediately thought that I want to pick it up, but then I didn't want to place an online order. And Makeup Revolution has recently come to a local drugstore, so I did see it in a store and I immediately picked it up. This is a beautiful cool tone palette. This is what it's looking like. It has a huge mirror, which is perfect. It's so tiny and so perfect. So this is coming with me for travel every time I go anywhere. It's the perfect everyday palette for me. I'm not the biggest fan of the metallics in here. Usually I'm not the biggest fan with the metallics with Makeup Revolution, but the mattes in here are so good and so versatile and so perfect for me for every day. So this is the perfect on-the-go palette. I use it almost every day and yes, I always need one of the matte shades in here. I think what I want to do is I'm going to depot the metallics and replace them with something else. I have something in mind and I'm going to tell it a bit later to you because I'm going to show you the palette that I have in mind. So this is definitely going to stay and I want to just, change it up a bit so that it fits my needs a bit more perfectly because the metallics are just not my favorite. This one is very lackluster, although the color is so beautiful. I'm really sad, and this one here just has a lot of texture to it and it emphasizes the wrinkles on my lid, which I don't like. It feels a bit heavy, so I really don't need it, and I don't know if I need a gray in here. And then this is more like a satin, so I feel like I want to swap out all of the metallics in here and keep the one and only keep the mattes in here because they are stunning. And yes, I love this palette. I'm going to keep it. This one here is my other Makeup Revolution palette. It's called the Forever Flawless Flamboyance Flamingo palette. I also cannot show you the inside. If you want to see the inside of my Pantos eyeshadows palettes, then go follow the link in the description box where you can see what I've got. So I do actually have a shade from this palette in the project at the moment, so I don't want to spoil anything, so you're not going to see the inside, but I'm going to keep this one. I love this one. It's a beautiful summer palette and yes, I just love this one. If you want to see the inside, please follow the link and check out the other video, but this is beautiful and it's staying. So then I would say let's continue with the ones that are in my Pantos eyeshadow series because this one is in there too. It's the BH Cosmetics Desert Oasis palette. I haven't really worked on the shade so far, so I feel like I can show it to you. I'm working on this shade here. I have a little dip in it. This is a beautiful, more warm-toned, bronzy eyeshadow palette and it's just stunning. The formula is so good. It's so, I don't know, it feels so high-end. And every time I start working on another shade in here, I do have quite some pans already, they just impress me every time I start working on a new one. So it's just such a good formula and I do really love it, so I'm going to keep it. Then I do have this one here from Beauty Bay. It's the Book of Magic palette. It has a beautiful color story, but I just don't get along with the mattes in here. So I'm going to depot the metallics as I did with the Nikki Tutorials X Beauty Bay palette. And I'm going to keep the metallics and then I'm going to declutter the mattes. So this is going on the depotting pile. Now let's get through my other BH Cosmetics palettes. This is the Lost in Los Angeles palette. It has a beautiful rainbow color story and it's very pastel-y, and the quality in this is just amazing. I feel like it's the perfect pastel palette, and I'm working on this shade in my Pandas eyeshadow series at the moment, but I haven't used it a ton since I've gotten it in a project. And yes, I just love this palette. It's so beautiful, so fun and so bright, and this is definitely going to stay in my collection. Then this is my Blueberry Muffin palette by BH, and I have a lot of pan in it already. I have 5 pans. It has been in my project a ton this year and also in last year. And it's a beautiful palette. I just think the quality is amazing in this one, and so it's going to stay. So the same goes for the Avocado Toast palette. This is the green one. I have only 1 pan in it already, but I want to use it more and I want to get some more pans in this palette. This is so stunning. It's the perfect green eyeshadow palette, and I love that there are some other shades in here as well. I'm not the biggest fan of monochromatic palettes, I have to say, so I really do like it when there are more than one color family in a palette. So this one here is quite perfect for me and I love it, so I'm going to keep it. Then this one here is my last Juvia's Place palette. I have depotted the other ones that I've had. This one here is the DUPES palette, and it has a beautiful pastel-y, springy, summery color story. I love this palette. So I actually want to use some of this shade and of this shade, and I want to just, scrape a bit of them out and then repress them into the little Makeup Revolution palette that I have shown you before. So this is the palette that I want to use some of the shades because they are so big, so I feel like it wouldn't hurt this palette to take some of the product out and put it in another palette. So that's what I'm going to do. I absolutely love this palette and the quality in here. The metallics are stunning, the mattes are too, and yes, I just love this palette. So this is a definitely keep. Then let's talk about my Morphe X Jaclyn Hill Bling Boss palette. I think it's the last one in my collection that I have from Morphe that I haven't already depotted, and guess what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to depot this one because I just don't like the mattes in here, or I just don't reach for them. So I only want to just pop out the metallics and have them as singles. This one is a stunning palette that was in my Pandas eyeshadow series in the last month, and I fell head over heels for it. So I do want to have these metallics here as singles because I really do love them. So this is going onto the depotting pile. Now this one here is my W7 On The Rocks palette. This one is a dupe for the Subculture palette, and I just don't reach for it anymore. I feel like I really liked it when I've gotten it and the formula is good. The metallics are not, only the mattes are good, but there are so many mattes in here that I feel like that's okay. But to be honest, yes, I just don't reach for it, so I feel like there's no point in hanging on to it, so I'm going to declutter this one. Now let's talk about my ABH palette. So first of all is my Carly Bible palette. This is the newest one in my collection from my ABH collection because I've gotten this for Christmas last year, and this is what it's looking like. It's such a beautiful palette. I feel like it's my favorite out of all of my ABH palettes. It's just perfect color story for me. I love it. The quality is amazing. This is the only shade that I feel like it could be a bit more intense. It's not that metallic and shiny as I would wish it to be, but all the other ones are perfect. This is the perfect one and done eyeshadow, and this one as well. This one is so stunning, and yes, I love this one. I love this one. I love basically every shade in here, and it's just perfection to me, so definitely going to keep this one. Then my sultry one, I have to say, I've kind of, I don't know, I'm a bit bored with it at the moment, and I don't know, I feel like I could declutter it, to be honest, because I'm not excited anymore when I open it. I'm not excited to use it. Every time I get it in my Pandas eyeshadow series, I'm kind of like, oh no, I don't want to work with it. So I don't know what it is with this palette, but I'm not feeling it anymore. But I feel like this could be a contender to be my next Panda palette for the next year, because I don't want to work on a palette that I'm so sad if I finish it that I want to repurchase it. I only want to work on a palette that I feel like it's okay if it's gone then. So maybe I could use this one, and because it's so neutral, it could be quite good to have it as a Panda palette. So I will see. For now I'm going to keep it because I'm not ready to part with it yet. I want to see if I can get more use out of it, but yes, I'm just not the fondest of it anymore, but it's a beautiful palette overall. I just feel like I have it now for 3 years, and yes, I just, I love a bit of a change in my collection and some excitement for some new palettes. And yes, for me that's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty usual to kind of fall out of love with a palette after using it so much and having it for such a long time. So I feel like that's okay, but I'm not ready to part with it. So I'm going to keep it for now and let's see what I can do with it. Then next is my Norvina palette. I can't open it because it would be a huge spoiler for my Pandit palette series. So this is my Pandit palette for this year. I'm working on it the whole year and I want to finish it up completely. If you want to see what it's looking like at the moment, go and check out the video for my Pandit palette series. It's in my description box if you want to see it. And yes, so this is a definitely keeper because I want to finish it up completely in this year. Then next is my Riviera palette, and this has been in my Pandas eyeshadow series 2 times, and I was able to hit 6 pans in it in this time. So I have used this palette so much in the past. I do love it. Every time I open it, I don't know, I just love it even more every time I see the inside, and it's just a beautiful palette. I'm definitely going to keep it. Then the same goes for my Modern Renaissance palette, and I think that this could be the oldest one that I have from ABH, and it's just a beautiful palette. I love it. I love it every time I open it, and I love it when I use it. And yes, I feel like this palette has its best moment in the fall and winter. That's when I love reaching for it the most, and it's a beautiful palette. I'm definitely going to keep it. Then I don't know why, but I always wanted to try the original Comfort Zone palette by Wet n Wild, and I think I finally gotten it in March, and then I tried it and it's just not good. This is a drugstore formula that I feel like we are over it, so this is not the formula we want nowadays. The mattes, the metallics are so sheer. Oh, there are only metallics in this one, yes. So there are only shimmers in this palette and not really true metallics. They just don't do anything for me. So this is a palette I'm not going to keep it. I wanted it for such a long time. The only shade that I truly love is this brow bone shade here, so I might be depotting this one because, to be honest, I don't know who I would give this palette to because it's just bad. So I don't want anyone to have it because I feel like, no, it's just it's not good, and the formula is not good anymore. And I know they redid the formula, so this actually, I think, not really available anywhere anymore. So I'm going to declutter this one. Now let's talk about my ColourPop palette. So this is the Midnight Masquerade palette. I want to have a little project with my ColourPop palettes because I feel ready to depot some of these shades into my singles collection, and then I want to rearrange the ones that I'm keeping. So I'm definitely going to keep it. I want to declutter the pressed glitters in here and put something else in there, and also get rid of some shades that I don't like, and then maybe depot the other ones into my singles collection. So I'm keeping it for now, but this may be changing a bit in the future. So I just wanted to show you that I have already depotted a lot of my ColourPop palettes, especially the monochromatic ones. So these are already depotted, they're in my singles collection now. Same goes for these 2 here, these 2 here as well, then these 2 here, and then also the main squeeze one. So I have depotted 9 ColourPop monochromatic palettes already, and I want to continue with the next ones that I'm going to show you. So here I do have the Baroque palette and the Dead's Taupe palette. And this is what they are looking like. They're both more cool toned, and I do want to depot these, and then I want to put them in my singles collection and put them in some other palettes. And yes, I do love them both and I really enjoy these shades, so I want to keep them all, but I just want to rearrange them a bit and depot them a bit. So the shades in here are going to stay in my collection, but the packaging will be gone. And the same goes for these 2. This is the Blow and Smoke palette and the Making Moths palette. So that's what they are looking like, and I love both of them, so I'm definitely going to keep these shades. I just want to have them in my single collection. And then I also do want to rearrange my Elsa palette. That's this one here. So I do want to rearrange this one a bit too. I want to get rid of some of the shades in here that I don't like, especially this one here, and I have already gotten rid of the pressed glitter in here. And then I want to put some shades from the other palettes in here and mix and match. So there will be a video coming where I rearrange and depot my ColourPop palettes. Then this is my Going Coconuts palette, and this is the only one that I want to declutter, to be honest. It's a beautiful palette. I do like the color story. It's a bit more warm toned than I thought it would be, and I just feel like this is such a great palette. I just don't need it in my collection, so I want to give it to a friend who would really use it and need it and like it and enjoy it. So because it's such a good, tiny, very curated, neutral palette, I feel like it's the perfect gift, so I want to give it away to a friend of mine. Then I do have the Child palette from ColourPop. This is one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. I love it so much. The formula is amazing, the color story is beautiful. I love the Mandalorian and Star Wars in general, but also the quality is just there, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful color story, so I'm going to keep this one. Then next is the Zodiac palette. This was in collaboration with Kathleen Lights, another one that I truly love, so I'm going to keep this one as it is. Then next we have the You Had Me at Hello palette. This was my first ColourPop palette and I just love it still, and it's a beautiful, a bit more grungy color story, which I do love, and yes, I just like all the shades in here, so I'm going to keep it, and it's a beautiful palette and the quality is still there. Then next we have the Wild Nothing palette, one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. And it's so beautiful, especially if you have a fair skin tone, because it's very light and it feels so springy and beautiful and just everyday appropriate, and yes, I just love it. I also do love the two Super Shocks in here. Beautiful, no pressed glitters, I love it, so definitely going to keep this one. And then the last palette is my Off Melrose palette. It's one of the newest ones in my collection. And it's looking like this. It's so beautiful. At first I felt like I don't really need it because it's just another neutral palette, but I don't know, there was something about this palette. I always wanted it, and then I've just recently bought it. So it's beautiful. It has one pressed glitter in here, which I didn't know, to be honest. So I'm going to depot this one, and I think that I want to rearrange it a bit. So this is going into the pile where I want to rearrange it and depot it a bit. So you will see it in a future video very soon. So these are all the palettes that I'm going to declutter or depot, and then also the ColourPop palettes, but I think that I have 22 palettes left in my collection after this, and I've started with 44, so we are down half, and I think that's awesome. So then I do have only 22 palettes left that I just can rotate through and have in my Pen Eyeshadow series and just work me through, and I just love my collection, but I feel like I was a bit overwhelmed with all the ColourPop palettes, and I only used them as singles, so it didn't make sense to have them all in these little palettes. So I feel like it's way more organized now, and I can see my collection again, and yes, I'm so happy with this declutter. It was really necessary for me to do it. So I hope that you did enjoy the video. If you did, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you all so much for watching. I wish you all a beautiful day.